Kiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arotike Sobha Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arotike Sobha Janavi Tatavani Jagamanalobha Vase Ate Gauranchan Ratna Simhasane Vase Ate Gauranchan Ratna Simhasane Aroti Korenga Brahma Adi Devagane Aroti Korenga Brahma Adi Devagane Narari Adi Kori Chamadaduraya Narari Adi Kori Chamadaduraya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Gosadigaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Gosadigaya Sankha baje ganta baje baji kartara Sankha baje ganta baje baji kartara Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasara Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasara Baho Koti Chandra Dini Vadana Ujwala Baho Koti Chandra Dini Vadana Ujwala Kala dese vana mala kore jalamala Kala dese vana mala kore jalamala Shiva Sukha Narada Preme Gada Gada Shiva Ki. So I'm going to recite some prayers so everyone can say Jai after each prayer and then everyone can pay their obeisances. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Pairajagacharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Pairajagacharya Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki. Ananti Koti Vaishnavinda ki. Nama Shasya Haryas Thakur ki. Prem se Kaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki. Mayapur Vrindavan Dham ki. Nilachala Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki. Ganga Devi Yamuna Devi ki. Harinam Sankirtan ki. Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki. Nitai Gaura Pramanandi. All glory simple devotees, all glory simple devotees, all glory simple devotees, all glory Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. So we're going to sing Nashikara prayers. You can join in for protection.
Vakshaha Hiranya Kashipur Vakshaha Hiranya Kashipur Vakshaha Hiranya Kashipur Vakshaha Shilatanka Nakalaye Nakalaye Shilatanka Nakalaye Shilatanka Nakalaye Iton Reseha Paraton Reseho Iton Reseha Paraton Reseho Iton Reseha Paraton Reseho Iton Reseha Paraton Reseho Yato Yato Yamita Ton Reseha 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 Tavakara Kamala Varenaka Adhuta Shringha Dalita Hiranyakashipur Tano Brengam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Shavakara Kamala Vara, Nakha Adhuta Sringha, Lalita Hiranakashipur, Dano Vringa, Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jai Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Nrsimhadev Jaya, Nrsimhadev Jaya, Nrsimhadev Jaya, Nrsimhadev Jaya, Nrsimhadev, Nrsimhadev Jaya, Nrsimhadev Jaya, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol.
Besija. Besija. What are you? You not Gujarati?
No. I wish.
Besija. Can I do something? It's really hard.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Naturally, I should have. I'm very. What do I say? Lazy. Very good.
Yeah, there's going to be a talk now.
What time? Now?
Now, right now, yeah.
For how long?
For about 1 hour until 9:30? Or 9? 45 minutes, half an hour.
So yesterday, how long did you stay there?
I stayed here until about 10 to 10.
So you experienced everything, like
I'm trying to, yeah.
even the kirtans. Like,
Yeah.
and then you're part of the home church?
Not really.
Okay.
I'm just...
So you come from Mangalati?
What's that?
It's in the morning.
Oh, 100%, 4:30.
Yeah.
That's the only one.
Oh, you come?
Yeah. I even come when I'm not here.
So you don't sleep a lot?
Sorry?
You don't sleep a lot?
No, not while here. Well, generally, I sleep maybe 4 or 5 hours.
How old are you?
43. But it's mainly the deep breathing, meditation, and yoga. If you get a good rhythm of that, then your sleep will automatically reduce. Because your prana is built up.
They also say like your number of lives is based on the number of breaths. I don't know.
Something nonsense to me.
No, it was part of the, someone told me, one of my discomforts.
I don't know. I just know that when I used to sleep 8-9 hours, and then I started
Hare
doing
Krishna.
yoga, started doing the breathing, started doing the meditations, and my sleep dropped. Just don't need it.
4 to 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5 hours. Some
You
people.
don't even take a bath now?
No. I may do a meditation about 4 o'clock, like a 20-minute guided meditation.
So you say Om or you just focus on your breath?
When
For the meditation?
so I have a particular type.
Hare Krishna.
Called, Sahaj Samadhi, and I do that. But so that's in the morning, and then in the
Hare Krishna.
I do an afternoon one for about 20 minutes, which is a guided meditation.
Hare Krishna.
People, and then in the bedtime I do a 5-minute one. But even if you build it up to 5 minutes, one every day.
I'm just trying 5 minutes. Just Om. That's a very basic level.
You're not going to get much from that.
But I'm starting.
No, but you better do a guided meditation. You better use
Put this into the mic.
like a guided meditation, 5-7 minutes of someone showing you where your body is, showing you where your
Hare
breath
Krishna.
is, and then they talk you through, and then you can go deeper into meditation.
Oh, like that. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, I think, I know. Like even they put some background music, I don't know.
Yeah, but don't use an app. There's one app, Sattva, very good. And if you really don't want to use that, then the okay one is Headspace, but it's not.
Hare Krishna.
Sattva is
Hare Krishna, yes. Hare Krishna. Can you hear the mic?
Yes? Sir? No, don't think so.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is the one. This one, look. Lampton phone. That's the one.
Yeah, I'm part of
Okay, now it's working.
No, you're saying for this.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you need it? Oh. Amazing. Can I ask you questions? Should I take my mask off so you can see my expressions?
Well, we quote from the Acharya, so the questions will be answered.
Through the divine.
Yeah. I'm just a messenger. So I'm going to Jai Radha Madhava. And you can follow.
Okay.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janvallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Antaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Srila Prabhupada ki jai Samaveda Bhaktivedanta ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya You want to get a Bhagavad Gita? So today we're reading from chapter 9, text number 13. The chapter's title is The Most Confidential Knowledge. Actually, I was meant to do text 14, but the devotee, he's going somewhere. He asked me to cover the class today. So I'm doing text 13, so hopefully I'll adjust to the class. Let's see. Hopefully, yeah. Krishna willing. Because the purport is a little different, but anyway, it should work out. Yeah. You got it? Got it, right? Mahatmanastumam partha. Okay. Ready? Mahamanastumam partha devim prakritim asitaha bhajante ananya manaso jivatma bhuta didam avyayam Mahamanastumam partha devim prakritim asitaha bhajante ananya manaso jyatva bhutatma avyayam Mahamanastumam partha Devim Prakritim Asitaha Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Jivatma Bhutatidam Avyayam. Very good. Doing good. Very good. Okay. Anyone want to try? 13, yeah. Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakritim asitaha bhajanti anya manaso natva bhutatma avyayam. You want to try, Prabhu? Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakritim asitaha bhajanti anya manaso gyatma bhutatmi avyayam. Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakritim asitaha bhajanti anyanya manaso gyatma bhutatmi avyayam. Word for word. Mahatmanaha, okay, Mahatmanaha, the great souls, to but, mam, unto me, partha, O son of Pritha, devim, divine, prakritim, nature, asitaha, having taken shelter of, bhajanti, render service, anyanya manasa, without deviation of the mind, gyatva, knowing, bhuta, of creation, adim, the origin, avyayam, inexhaustible. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In this verse, the description of the Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of the Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature. He is not under the control of material nature. And how is this affected? This is explained in the 7th chapter. One who surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, at once becomes freed from the control of material nature. That is the qualification. One can become free from the control of material nature as soon as he surrenders his soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is a primary formula. Being marginal potency, as soon as the living entity is freed from the control of material nature, he is put under the guidance of the spiritual nature. The guidance of the spiritual nature is called Devi Prakriti, divine nature. So when one is promoted in that way, by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one attains to the stage of great soul, Mahatma. The Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna, because he knows perfectly well that Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the original cause of all causes. There is no doubt about it. Such a Mahatma or great soul develops through association with other Mahatmas, pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other features, such as the four-armed Mahavishnu, They are simply attracted by the two-armed form of Krishna. They are not attracted to the other features of Krishna, nor are they concerned with any form of demigod or human being. They meditate only upon Krishna in Krishna consciousness. They are always engaged in the unswearing service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness. Om Agyanti Mandasya Gana Gana Salakaya Chakshurumi Tamene Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhistam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschata Isatarine. So in this verse, it explains the qualities of someone who's got divine qualities. Someone who has got divine qualities, he always depends on Krishna's mercy. So we can see in this connection the difference between the demons and the devotees. Example is given, just like when Kayadu was being taken away by Indra, because Indra thought that a demon is going to take birth from that womb of that lady. She was the wife of Hiranyakashipu, who was terrorizing the universe. So Narada Muni appeared to Indra and said, "You can't kill this child, because he's a Mahabhagavata. He's a great soul coming from the spiritual world. You cannot touch him." So Indra immediately accepted Narada Muni's statement. So he circumambulated Kayadu and then he left. The demons, they don't take any good advice. And the example is given just like a determined thief. A determined thief, even if you give him good advice, he'll never listen. So demons are like that. They never listen to good advice. So the Mahatmas, they're in this category of going by Krishna's guidance. The saying goes, a person is known by his association. So the human form of life, we have this discriminating power where we can discriminate between good and bad. Animals go by their instinct. They cannot have that discriminating power. So in the human form of life, we can utilize this discriminating power for achieving spiritual perfection. So there's a quote, it's an interesting quote. Let's see if I can. This is let's see. Okay. So this is a quote. This is a question asked to Bhaktivedanta Thakur about the importance of human life. So he gives a quite deep answer on this point. Is it necessary to worship Hari after attaining birth in the human body? So he answers by saying, it is by good fortune and the Lord's mercy that we have been given a human birth. The human form of life is extremely rare, and there is no guarantee that in our next life we will again become humans. By some misfortune, we might become a ghost, witch, a hobgoblin, animal, bird, or insect. It is not possible to worship Hari in those species. Therefore, we should not use whatever time we have left in our present body for pointless activities. life is temporary. Still, human life can award spiritual salvation. Therefore, as long as we are alive, we should quickly earn our spiritual perfection. Human beings proudly consider themselves brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaishyas or shudras, brahmacharis, grihasthas, panaprasthas or sannyasis. Those who are intelligent, however, should not claim these false identities. We are simply Lord's servants. We are not products of this world. To consider the body, the self, is an illusion. Sri Mahaprabhu said, Jivere Swabhava Krishna Dasa Abhimana Dehi Atma Jnana Achadita Se Jnana. The original nature of every living entity is to consider himself an eternal servant of Krishna. But under the influence of Maya, he thinks himself the body, and thus his original consciousness is covered. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 24:201. Hari's holy name does not appear on the tongues of persons puffed up with false ego or material proprietorship. We are eternally conditioned souls. Due to our forgetfulness of Krishna, we have fallen into illusion. Now we have no alternative but to give up our false ego and take complete shelter at the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna. Elephants think themselves elephants, dogs, dogs, but humans should not think like this. Rather, they should be proud of their real identity. Sri Mahaprabhu said, Jivaraya Sarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. It is the living entity's constitutional position to be eternal servant of Krishna. Lord Hari is situated in every atom, and he attracts fools and learned alike. Only those who have no desire for material enjoyment, for becoming the master, no desire to command respect are sadhus, are qualified to hear his instructions. Those who are attached to something so insignificant as their own pride, however, will not hear the Lord's call. Still, such persons should know that death is inevitable. Adya vibada santa ive mityu va parinam dhruva. Either today or in 100 years, every living entity must die. We are cognizant, but if despite our cognizance we do not approach the Lord's devotees and hear their instructions attentively, ruination is inevitable. There is no chance to worship Hari in any form of life other than the human form. Therefore, we should engage in Hari Bhajan until we die by giving up our engagements. That's the only way we can attain the ultimate goal of life. Everyone in this world is ready to ruin us. In this land of non-friendship, our so-called relatives are unfavorable for our devotion service. We therefore have no alternative but to take shelter of Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas are actual relatives. We do not need to do anything for anyone. Just serve the Lord's devotees along with others. Let everyone serve the Lord with his or her knowledge, intelligence, academic qualification, physical strength, wealth, and expertise. The more we delay doing so, the more trouble we'll find ourselves in. People who follow non-Vaishnava religious principles cannot attain auspiciousness. All auspiciousness is held in the hand of those who take shelter of the lotus feet of Vaishnavas. The non-Vaishnavas are decorated only with the garlands of birth and death. Persons attached to Hari Bhajan no longer enter womb of mothers. What to speak of Vaishnavas? Even those who have the opportunity to see lotus feet of an extraordinary Vaishnava will not take birth again. So we can see the another quote Bhakti Thakur says, that whether devotees are single or married, they benefit the whole world. But non-devotees, whether they're married or single, benefit no one. So you can see, making the devotees like your family members you achieve the goal of life through their blessings. there are examples of that. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita is given how even having conversations with great souls can change one's destiny. There was instance with Ambrish Maharaj. He had a brother who was not a devotee. And Ambrish Maharaj told Narada Muni, "Can you make my brother a devotee?" So as Narada Muni is going to approach Ambrish Maharaj's brother, his brother is going to close the door on Narada Muni. Narada Muni told him, "Before you close the door, I want to ask you one question. When you die and you see Yamaraj, ask him this question. That what's the benefit of seeing a saint?" So when he died, he went to Yamaraj, and Yamaraj gave all his bad activities that he did, he's going to be punished. So then this person asked Yamaraj the question, "What's the benefit of seeing a saint?" So Yamaraj asked, "Which saint did you see?" So Narada Muni. So now you're free. So even coming in touch with great saints can free one from the reactions of life. Only thing is, dealing with devotees, one should not make offenses. Because it says in common in Chaitanya Bhagavat, also in Srimad Bhagavatam, he explains, Prabhupada mentions in the Krishna book also, in the story of Kamsa, when he's sends Putna to kill all the babies, that someone who does harm to great souls loses all his piety, he's gone. His blessings are taken away, his lifespan is shortened like this, all the blessings are gone. And he can't enter the higher planets. So the Mahatmas, they benefit the world. And it says Krishna is manifest in 4 forms in this world, eternally manifest. This verse we sing every day, Mahaprasad Govinde, number 1 Vaishnava, Sapamutam Rajan, Vishwasana Vijayate. So it says the Mahaprasad, the Vaishnavas, the devotee, holy name, and the Brahmana. These all manifest, direct manifestations of the Lord. Someone asked Srila Prabhupada a question about this verse 728. Yesam tutakatam papam jnana punakamanam jen mukta bhajantam ridavata. That those who have done pious activities in previous lives and in this life, they get free from all sinful reactions. They can, Prabhupada mentioned in 720 about Gita, how they get qualified to come to the spiritual path. I mean, the Prabhupada says agnostics, skeptics, atheists, they can't enter into spiritual understanding because of their maybe of the impiety from previous lives. They can't enter. So they asked this question to Prabhupada, that how is it that devotees asked this question, how is it that we were sinful ourselves? We didn't do any piety, and how come we are now becoming devotees? And Prabhupada said, I'm your good fortune. So this is the thing that Prabhupada gave another quote saying how A devotee can become a demon can become a devotee. So that shows that minor independence is always there for the jiva. And in the Surrender Unto Me by Buddhism, he made a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. He gives different quotes of the acharyas, Vishnu Chakya Thakur, Siddhar Swami, Bala Bhushan, and in there he gives some level of explanation saying how Krishna has made the material world in such a way he allows the jiva to have his independence. The jiva cannot have full independence. Example is given like a rich person's got rich person's son's got his boundary where he can play with his toys. He cannot go beyond that boundary. So jiva also has his boundary in the material world. He cannot fully be independent. But one thing he can do is come out of the cycle of suffering. That's one thing which is good about the human life, that you can come out of the cycle of suffering. Actually, this Bharatvash is known as karma bhumi. This is where all the karma goes on, good and bad. And you can either go up or go down. In the heavenly planets, you don't burn karma. You don't create karma. You're just burning your good karma off. So he says even demigods, when they fall down from the higher planets, they pray to take birth in Bharatvash, in the land of India. Because that place is known for its piety. People are religious, they're God conscious. He says even Prabhupada comments, even at the present time there's many saints who come every so often to meet the Kumbh Mela. All the saints come, millions of them, from the higher planets, and they all meet there. There was an instance when Prabhupada went there. This Kumbh Mela happens every 12 years, then the biggest one is every 144 years. So Prabhupada went to the 144-year one. So the yogi, he wanted to get in to see Prabhupada, But in the early days, you couldn't get in to see Prabhupada so easy because the devotees were very strict that they wouldn't allow anyone to come in to see Prabhupada. The yogi, he spoke to the security and wouldn't allow him. So somehow he got in. Being a yogi, he just got in and he met Prabhupada. And when he came out, he told the devotees, that all the yogis here in this Kumbh Mela, Prabhupada is the most advanced. You're very fortunate. So, we are blessed in that way that we have this good fortune that we can achieve perfection very quickly if you just follow Prabhupada's teachings. So one of the symptoms of a saintly person is he doesn't see his enemy as an enemy. He sees someone is doing something to me, I must have done something bad in the previous life, so Krishna is allowing this person to do something to me in this life as a token reaction. So he doesn't become his enemy's enemy in that way. I think in this morning's talk, Prabhupada gave a point about, was it yesterday's talk? Prabhupada gave a talk about a devotee's equal post. He's not disturbed in the situation. And example was that there was one devotee in the concentration camp. He was a boy. And he was in concentration camp. And in these camps, there's these guards, they torment you, They try and provoke you. But his boy was just tolerating. He wasn't saying anything. So he just kept quiet. doing his work, God saw something wrong with him. We should just let him out. As he left, he met the devotees and became a devotee. And another quality of a devotee is that he's tolerant. So this tolerance was shown by, there's one, he became Krishna Karta Prabhu later, but he got initiated by Prabhupada. But the early years of ISKCON, he was there in New York or Chicago. He was there in one of the temples. And he was known as Crazy Peter. He used to cause disturbance to devotees. And Giriraj Swami wrote a letter to Prabhupada saying, what should we do with this person? Prabhupada said, just be tolerant. Later on, Giriraj Maharaj found out that he became Krishna Karta Prabhu, and he translated many books of Prabhupada from Sanskrit to English like that. So our good fortune is that we are part of this Hare Krishna movement. This movement is there to help you to enter Krishna's family. So the only thing you have to do is pick up the good habits which Prabhupada has given in his writings. And then perfection is just waiting. We take to chanting seriously, we read Prabhupada's book, we discuss the books. We're trying to help others who we can help. And like Prabhupada says in his purport, how Krishna will protect us if we take shelter of him. Actually, Krishna is protecting everyone. Without his protection, no one can do anything. Like we don't know how our food is being digested. Without the sun, we cannot survive. Without the moon, we cannot have nice vegetables. So in that way, Krishna is protecting us. But the only difference is, like even in the prison, the prisoners get protected by government, but they're under punishment. But the good citizens get all facility. So for the devotees, they're getting good facility as a protection. Like as devotees, if you're practicing seriously and you're sincere, you don't feel the stress and anxiety like outside people feel. Because you're under Krishna's protection. Only thing is, you have to make your faith strong about who Krishna is. That's why Prabhupada emphasized reading his books. By reading his books, your faith in Krishna becomes strong. And Prabhupada said in one lecture, he said, whether you're sannyasi, brahmachari, grihastha, main thing is to make friends with Krishna. So, Bhaktivedanta Thakur explains in his quote, he says, everything comes from name, form, pastimes, activities. It all happens. Even in the material, everything comes from that. So even in the spiritual life, everything is coming from that. Only thing in the material world, the name, pastimes, they're different from the person. In the spiritual world, it's not different from Krishna. So we have to make our conviction so strong that Krishna is not different from his name. He's full of all potencies. And we don't speak Prajalpa. We read Prabhupada's books. We help others who we can help. We do kirtan together. Have close relationship with devotees, loving exchanges. Then you're in the spiritual world. So it's very easy in that sense. There's a quote by Prabhupada. Last quote I'll read, then I'll stop. It's a quote by Prabhupada. 170. Prabhupada gives a quote. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can find it. The Prabhupada in his quote, he explains how there is two categories of birds we don't mix, the crow and the swan. Crows only look for dirty things, swans stay in clean places. So devotees are compared to swans. Crows are like the non-devotees, they look for dirty things. So the mission of the Krishna conscious movement is to make crows into swans. Any comments or questions? You can put the book on top. Yeah, it's better, yeah. You can put it back. Yeah. No, the thing is, for a devotee, is mentioned, whatever, see, preaching is a thankless task. So, for a devotee, whether he lives or dies is secondary. Because he's going back to Krishna. Yeah, so, I mean, generally, someone who's preaching, he's not bothered about the body too much. He's concerned about what's helping others in their Krishna consciousness. So, for a devotee, he doesn't worry about the body in that sense. Spiritual level, yeah. Yeah, Krishna is in the heart. He's giving you strength within. He's giving you the guidance how to go about in your practices. And our devotee is also very merciful that sometimes he may go out of his way to help someone. Like there was, and Krishna sees what's beneficial for that devotee ultimately. Like I heard a few stories like, was it Prabhupada met this Graham Hill. He was a famous racing car driver. Prabhupada spoke to him for 45 minutes. He was speaking about racing cars. So at some point he was speaking about death. So Prabhupada explained, he said, driving racing car is dangerous also. You're free of death. So Prabhupada explained about the situation of death, material world full of suffering. And then he was driving his plane somewhere and had an accident, he died. Because maybe in his situation he was thinking, what Prabhupada said is correct, but I cannot change my ways at this point in time. It's hard for me to change my ways. And there was a situation of one devotee, he was part of a mafia or something. So he wanted to leave the mafia and become a Hare Krishna, but somehow the situation was so difficult that he couldn't change. So somehow that he died, accidentally died. So Krishna knows what's best for us, how to bring us closer to him. Like that. So the main thing is we should make our confidence strong in Krishna that he's going to protect us. That's the main thing. And then everything else will balance out from that. It's just we have to have a conviction that Krishna is a person. Unfortunately, in modern day education, they teach the impersonal God. He's an energy. They don't really understand how he's a person. But you do it through your actions, according to how you take shelter of him. It's like it's like here, in this, there was a 10-year court case. I don't know if you heard about it. 10-year court case happened here. Were you there this time? About the temple being closed down, 10-year court case. So I was told by one devotee, quite senior to me in age, he told me the history. He said there were these council members in this Hatsmia, and the people in this area are nice. Most of them are nice. They're not against us. They're nice people. But if 10 people in the council, they were determined to close the temple down. So devotees went, house to house, make friends with people. Many were okay. Then 10 people were against us, completely against us. So they made a decision the temple has to close down. So then on the last day, when the announcement was happening, temples closed for the public and this and that. Soon after that, these 10 people all died. These 10 people died. One was in the pub, this 3-man's pub. He was trying to get votes from people to close the temple down. He had a heart attack. There's one boy coming. His father, he comes to the temple, the boy. His father was on a boat. He got cut up on the propeller at the back. Finished. So all these 10 people died in different ways. So you can imagine, if the temple did close down, it would have shaken the faith of millions of people. Isn't it? So Krishna knows how to protect his devotees. Something happened. Something happened. Yeah, so like this, these are certain stories to show you the example how Krishna protects his devotees. Yeah, many other stories are there in a similar way. Yeah, I mean, this would have disturbed the life of many devotees, like big temple like this being closed down. So, yeah, but in Bangladesh we have many ISKCON temples. It's not just a small one. 3 people dying is not a big thing. So Krishna protects the devotees, but doesn't matter if they're preaching, they go back to him. For devotees, whether he lives or dies, it doesn't matter. But from our point of view, we're thinking about the material body being protected. But Krishna doesn't protect it like all the time, but he protects you as a soul. He knows what's beneficial for you.
I mean, I feel that he protects me even in the material world, especially. I just want to let go. I will let go of my ego. Will let go of my intellect. And just have faith in him. And just do what I can.
Yeah, so I mean, even being a devotee, Prabhupada put a question to devotees, why have you surrendered to Krishna? So one devotee said this verse, Sarva Dharman Prakya Chama Mekam Traja. You heard this verse? Aham Tamsa Moksha. Krishna says, give over varieties of religion, surrender to me, I'll free you from all simple reactions. Prabhupada didn't accept that. Another devotee said, because you say Prabhupada. Prabhupada didn't accept that. The third devotee said, because we're feeling we're getting Krishna's reciprocation. Prabhupada accepted that. He said, how can you sacrifice so many bad habits and take to spiritual sacrifices if you're not getting some higher reciprocation? It's not possible. So Prabhupada accepted the third proposal, see? So showing that Krishna is there. We just have to surrender to his instructions and then serve his devotees. The difficulty is, sometimes what happens is, people in general, they separate the devotees from Krishna. But you can't separate devotees from Krishna. Devotees are linked to Krishna. So by serving them, then you get Krishna's mercy. Yeah, Vaishnava, devotees, Brahmana, and the holy name. Actually, no. Govinda, he deity form. Krishna manifest in deity form. Govinda, Nama Brahmane Vaishnava. Mahaprasad is Govinda, Nama Brahmane Vaishnava. So the Govinda is the deity form. Nama means holy name. Mahaprasad and the Vaishnava. Yeah, four. He manifests four direct forms. So these forms are always accessible for someone who's like, for example, even in the devotee community, sometimes things may not work out your way, in terms of services or something may be difficulty. You can pray to the deities, isn't it? It's always there, like that. It's just faith comes by who you take association of. So, if you take association of those who are advanced, then your faith becomes strong. If you take bad association, then that weakens your faith. So the understanding is you have to take association of those who are strong in their spiritual practices. And then your faith becomes strong. Like that. Jai. Anything else? Main thing is to have a proper service attitude. You have a proper service attitude, being humble and serving in a nice, proper way, then Krishna will give you mercy. Yeah, so you have to judge by their practices. If you analyze the situation of why those who leave, you go behind them and analyze, you see why they left. A person is known by his spiritual practices. Yeah, so in difficult times, you have to recite prayers to the holy name. Prabhupada is giving everything to us. We just have to, in Prabhupada's time, not everything was there. So you can imagine what devotees have to go through. Lectures were coming out, they used to listen one lecture in a group and things like